Okay, welcome to the Game Link podcast. This is episode 3. Today we're going to be talking about Mortal Kombat.
You said it wrong. It's Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, this movie is awesome. If anybody doesn't already know me, my name is Levy. This is my friend Elmer.
Hello.
I think we're knocking out these podcast episodes and we're having a lot of fun. So, before we start, what did you do this week, Elmer? How was your Thanksgiving?
Thanksgiving was all right. Got to go spend some time with the missus and her family up north, a few miles north of where we're recording here. And considering her family's originally from Michigan, I got to be the lone Bear. Well, no, there's another Bears fan sitting there just watching the Bears steamroll over the Lions, which was quite interesting. But at the same time, no, it was a nice, fine little get together. So, up
Cool.
yourself.
Well, yeah. Let's see. I watched all of the Cowboy Bebop live action, which I loved. I'm definitely gonna be rewatching that. Um, let's see. Yeah, then we did two Thanksgiving, my folks and my partner's folks, and yeah. So I ate a lot. What else did I do? I had a really long weekend, which was nice, but I don't think I really did anything. Like I normally play games or something, but yeah, I just watched Bebop pretty much. That movie's great.
You had a long weekend. I'm having a normal weekend because guess who got to work on Black Friday? And for maybe some new listeners here or whatnot that don't know, I don't work technically in retail. I work as a pawnbroker. So as I like to say, I work in both retail as well as small claims loan acquisitions.
Oh boy.
Oh, you wouldn't believe all of the Black Friday deals people were bringing into me going,
Hey, how much can I get for this?
and then I'm like, well, considering I can see when it was made, it's unopened, and knowing what today is, pretty much a third of what you paid for, which I can look at right now. So
Yeah.
that was fun. First thing that came in was a speaker system, and I took one look at that, and I said, "How much you looking for?" And she told me the price that she paid for it, and I said, "No, you didn't." I'm like, what? How do you know that? I'm like, because I was looking at this exact same Vizio Bluetooth speaker set, and I was planning on picking one up after work tonight myself. So I'm gonna give you $50 for it.
Yeah, I didn't have to work Black Friday, but I did get some good deals. So I got a new TV, 65-inch.
Which we are now staring at ourselves on here in 4x3. Isn't technology grand?
Yeah, it's like I, I don't know. It's smart and like pretty good quality, but it doesn't let me set the picture size, so I didn't have time to troubleshoot it. But my computer, no matter what I set the resolution to, the TV is displaying it at 4:3, so that's fun. I get to figure that out. I love new technology. But yeah, then I just got a couple other deals on like a coat and some other things, shoes and whatever. So
What kind of coat?
just a pea coat. I bought my pea coat for $20 like 6 years ago, and it's falling apart. So
Wasn't it
uh,
like one of those Target brand, like Stage 6 or whatever they call them?
no,
Brands,
it
or-
was some Chinese brand. I got it off of Amazon. It was just literally like the cheapest coat on Amazon back in like 2015.
Yeah, about that.
Yeah, no, the deals were pretty good. I mean, I wasn't planning on doing like Black Friday shopping or anything, but I mean, they ended up being such good deals I couldn't pass them up, you
Oh,
know.
hell yeah.
Um, yeah, let's see. Yeah, that's pretty much how my week went. It was good. I enjoyed myself. Um, so yeah, Mortal Kombat. We watched the movie from when that was that 1995.
1995.
1995. And not that it's a objectively good movie, but I know I've watched this movie like multiple times before. I do like this movie to begin with. So, yeah, obviously it's based off the game Mortal Kombat that came out in 1992. Developed by Midway. Um, so yeah, the whole thing with Mortal Kombat is like it was right after Street Fighter kind of like made a big boom in America, and so what was this guy's name? John Tobias. He was like working at Midway at the time, and he was a really big fan of like old Bruce Lee movies like Enter the Dragon and like John Claude Van Damme movies like Bloodsport and stuff. And so he would like watch these movies and then get all inspired and go and like create characters and do art and stuff. So he uh he ended up getting a deal. So like let's see, getting a deal from Midway to make a fighting game, and his whole purpose with the game was to he wanted it to be like brutal and oh, my picture's frozen. He wanted it to be like brutal and violent and stuff. So 1 second. This is gonna happen every time. I should get a new capture card. Anyway, so he wanted this game to be like brutal, and gory, and violent. Um, and so he had a lot of like ambitions for games that, wasn't really the norm. So they said like, we'll give you 6 months to make the game, and he said he did it. So what he did is he took a bunch of friends from like growing up and stuff who just happened to be martial artists, and they all went into like a small studio, and with the help of a trampoline and some green screen, or I guess blue screen back in the day, they like took real life like video and photos of these people like doing the moves, and they like digitized it into the characters, which one of his goals was he was like, I'm going to look at Street Fighter not to figure out what to do, but to figure out what not to do. So Street Fighter was really cartoony. Mortal Kombat was like a lot more like, yeah, gory and realistic. He he wanted Jean-Claude Van Damme to be in the game really bad, but Jean-Claude turned him down. So they still put him in the game just as Johnny Cage. Um, so let's see, where am I at my notes? So the game was bloody and brutal and became an instant hit. Like you had things like fatalities, which were like you'd be ripping out someone's skull and spine, or people would be thrown down into a pit of spikes and stuff like that. And fatalities were like just like this such a new like awesome thing, like people really wanted to try all the button combos to see like what fatalities they could get. And so yeah, it really caught on. It was really controversial when it came out, obviously because of the blood and gore. And so it was like, a lot of parents didn't realize that like, kids were that video games weren't just for kids. And it was really hard for people to accept. So it just caused a huge uproar. And ironically, all the negative press around it really helped sell the game. So that's kind of awesome.
Wasn't it this and Doom were the two big games that helped to influence the actual creation of the ESRB?
Yeah, this was definitely one of the big ones. Was like, yeah, people got so upset over it that ESRB ended up having to get formed. But
Yeah, because I think it was the ESRB and then like the actual like for adult audiences only on like CDs, that quote unquote tipper sticker. I believe that this is one of the things that helped to influence that. So
yeah, this is definitely a great game, and like I don't know about you, but like I've played a lot more Mortal Kombat than I have Street Fighter. I'm still not good at fighting games. But I did play this game quite a bit, and I even own a couple of them for like I think PS3 and stuff. I don't want to talk about Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe, but
no one wants to talk about
I think I own that game specifically because it was in a bargain bin at one point.
well, and everybody's just like, oh sweet, I get to rip Superman's head off as Scorpion. This is gonna be awesome. And then you're sitting there like, wait.
Yeah, they nerfed a lot of stuff in that game because Warner Brothers.
We can't have our brand look like that.
Yeah, they can't. You can't let someone dismember your character. That's your intellectual property. So yeah,
Well,
I
that's what Zack Snyder movies do. That more so just the morality of the character than anything else.
so yeah, I am a pretty big fan of Mortal Kombat. I mean, maybe not pretty big, but I'm a fan of Mortal Kombat. I do like the games, although I'm bad at them. I have seen, I think, almost all the movies. I think the one I haven't seen is like the Scorpion one, but we could probably do a bonus episode on that or something.
I haven't seen the one yet either, so I'm kind of excited too. The new cartoon one. I just know that there's spoiler alert reference to the Shaggy meme from like 2 years ago in it. I'm just like, that sounds fun.
Yeah. Speaking of like more like WB and Shaggy and stuff, there's apparently like a new Smash Fighters type game made by WB where you can play as Shaggy, and he has he has like Goku powers.
Oh my god.
So we'll see how that goes. I'm sure it's not going to be great, but it's free to play, so I'm sure a lot of people will be playing it.
Oh, also Matthew Lillard isn't gonna be voicing Shaggy then?
Probably not. They always get different voice actors for games, which really upsets me. I mean, obviously there's cases where they don't do that, and I appreciate that, but yeah, a lot of people like they'll argue that the contract doesn't allow for whatever, and they'll get different voice actors. And yeah, they're cheaper.
Well, kind of funny though that we were talking about with Shaggy being in the cartoon movie and stuff like that. Not to segue too quickly into it, but I just thought, kind of a neat little coinky dink there. There was actually another Scooby-Doo reference in the original Mortal Kombat movie here. The grunts, growls, and "Rah!" from Goro, as well as the sound of Reptile, and then the voice of Shao Kahn at the end is all voiced by the great Frank Welker. Which, if you ever want to get fired from your work pretty quickly, go to IMDb and hit print on actual parts or for acting credits and stuff like that for Frank Welker. If you want, you can check to see how many he's up to. You hit print on that, you're going to run out of every single sheet of paper in the entire goddamn department. So it gets up to just under 800 credits or something like that the man has. And the way that he's connected to Scooby-Doo is Frank Welker, his first voice role ever, which he's now played that character for over 50 years now, is he is the one and original Fred Jones
Oh.
in Scooby-Doo. Which now he's the voice of Scooby-Doo as well.
Gotcha. All right. Well, yeah, that's
Oh, and he was Nibbler on Futurama, so that's where I know you'd know him from.
okay. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, but that wraps up the notes I had. I know there's a lot more about it. Like there's like the whole tournament side of Mortal Kombat, and this game has so much to it. I could not gather enough data on it in the week I had.
One word. Toasty!
Yeah, that was a nice little Easter egg.
Hell, I mean, we could talk for hours just about the incorporation of Reptile into that original game. Of that being just like probably the hardest Easter egg this side of the cow level in Diablo.
Just a palette swap.
It's kind of stemming off of what he was saying then about just their influence on martial arts films as well as Jean-Claude Van Damme. Famously, one of the things that was told about it is that they originally approached Van Damme because of his work in films like, well, Bloodsport, famously.
We've talked about for like 3 weeks in a row or something now.
Well, because I wore the T-shirt the first week, but yeah, Bloodsport and Kickboxer, which is my favorite of the kind of his original work. Better than Bloodsport. I mean, funnily enough, same producer, same writer, same star, same director. Hilariously enough, what's his name? Stan Bush, who did the "You Got the Touch" song for Transformers, did both themes. But yeah, he did the theme songs for both Bloodsport and Kickboxer, and the Kickboxer one's just a little bit better. But anyway, so they approached Van Damme originally to try to be in it and to actually have it be based off of like sections from his movies, and I can't remember if it was specifically him or his agent basically told him to go fuck off. So they ended up kind of going, well, shit, now what are we going to do? And one of the biggest influences that they said that helped to get the tone of it, along with, say, Enter the Dragon, just with kind of how they have the stages and the octagon, was a little movie from 1985 called Big Trouble in Little China, the seminal John Carpenter classic. You watch that movie and you're like, oh my god, this is the prototype for Mortal Kombat. Egg Shen is Raiden. Lo Pan is Shang Tsung. You got everything from a character that uses rain, a character that uses wind, a character that, shooting electricity all over the place. Jack Burton, for the most part, the immortal Kurt Russell. You can just take one look at him with that in his white tank top, and you're like, yep, that's where it is. That is the inspiration for Sonya Blade right there. But yeah, no, you can just kind of see where they got kind of the powers, as well as like some of these more fantastical characters and like a grounded sort of universe kind of feel, which definitely is just a big thing on the Mortal Kombat games, as well as this film. I guess I should mention quickly, I grew up with the games as well as he did. I grew up with this movie as well, which sitting down to watch this, just whiplash-inducing nostalgia. I know I've said that already, but oh, dear God.
Yeah, well, I think Street Fighter did this too a lot, where they wanted enough characters from different parts of the world to kind of like appeal to everyone. And I mean, Street Fighter's characters were a lot more obviously from different parts of the world than Mortal Kombat's, but like, yeah, whatever they did it right. Oh, they definitely appealed. So
to kind of move a little bit back into filmmaking there, just to say, so this was Paul W.S. Anderson, the guy who has given us now all the masterpieces ranging from the Resident Evil film, Event Horizon, Monster Hunter, Three Musketeers.
Monster.
Exactly. We'll get to some of those movies soon. But this was actually his first like high budget film. He'd done a movie called Shopping before this, where it was literally he and some friends just driving around in cars really fast and like crashing into shit. It's really interesting. It's not good, but it's really high octane, high speed, quick cutting.
Has nothing to do with shopping.
Exactly. And I could see kind of with that how they were thinking, oh, this is gonna be very kind of MTV, like quick cuts, and that's how you have to do it. The thing is, though, it's a movie about a fighting tournament with actual martial artists. You can't really do it that way. So as I was kind of joking with Levy here, it kind of feels like a slightly darker toned episode of Power Rangers, like the Power Rangers Halloween special, just in terms of like the quick cutting that they have to put in there. But interesting enough, so with Jean-Claude Van Damme originally being a big influence on it, funnily enough, and I think we alluded to this last week, the studio, New Line Cinema, actually approached him and said, would you like to play Johnny Cage? And he had to turn it down because he was already cast as Colonel Guile in the Street Fighter movie. So it almost came full circle again for him, which I think if they were to bring him in for the next Mortal Kombat movie, the next live action one, since they're teasing Johnny Cage, I think that would be hilarious. Be like, I finally made it towards a movie.
Yeah, just have Jean-Claude.
Interesting little casting notes there. So ended up going to Christopher Lambert for the part of Raiden, the titular Highlander from the Highlander movies. Originally, the studio wanted Sean Connery.
Yes.
Who turned it down. The two reasons he expressed was it sounded too physical, and he wanted to play golf. Which to me sounds like, what the fuck is this shit? But their second choice before they went to Lambert, because you think, oh, well, you go from one Highlander star to another. The second choice of all people was Danny Glover. I mean, granted, Glover got really jacked for Predator 2 and stuff like that, but what?
That would be hilarious. Just picturing it.
Shit.
No.
Famously, though, Bridget Wilson, who I think later became a master son or something like that at the end of it, for her husband, that she tennis pro that she married, Miss Veronica Vaughn from Billy Madison, plays Sonya in this. Famously, she was hired after the fact. It was the original actress that was playing her who trained for over, I think it was over a quarter of a year in martial arts fighting to try to learn how to do the stunts for it. Broke her ankle 2 weeks before filming started. So because of that, and just because of how long they knew it was going to take on that, New Line Cinema, who were working on a couple of their movies at the time, they basically said, okay, how's this? We'll just swap your contract around. You're still under contract. We'll put you in this other movie. And she said, okay, what's this other movie? And they go, it's a movie that we're doing with Jim Carrey. It's called The Mask. You know, it's comedy. You don't have to be on your feet too much. So anyway, Cameron Diaz's first film ended up being The Mask instead of Mortal Kombat. So just think, a Charlie's Angel could have been in Mortal Kombat kicking the shit out of Kano there. But
That would have been great. I mean, what was her name? Bridget.
Bridget Wilson.
She didn't do a great job in this movie, and maybe Cameron Diaz would have been better. But I mean, Sonya's character in the movie was really watered down either way. So who knows?
We were kind of joking earlier that just trying to think if this movie was made in like the mid 1980s and stuff like that, because it kind of has that sort of like a feel to it in a way as well. It was just, I'm just thinking to ourselves, like, who'd have played Sonya in the 1980s? It's like, well, of course, it would just be Bridget Nielsen. And it's just like, yeah, the acting wouldn't have been much better. Basically, just female Dolph Lundgren up there. So, but kind of rolling along with that, just keep going. You know, they shot the movie. It was a big hit, actually, here in the United States, at least in terms of video games and stuff like that. Kind of like how you were saying that they looked at Street Fighter, the game, and was like, okay, we want to do this completely different. That's exactly what they did with the Super Mario Brothers movie. They went, okay, what worked in that? They go, world building, actually building this fleshed out world. What didn't work? Everything else. And they're like, okay, but specifically what? They didn't adhere to the video game. So they're like, okay, if we can kind of make this actually make sense within the world of the video game, that might be the best way of trying to get it.
I think this movie did a great job of executing the whole video game movie formula. They put in elements from the game and built some story, but also made the focus like the visuals and the combat, and not making some ridiculous plot. You know, I think it kind of had the right balance of everything. So I liked it, yeah.
And thinking on it, though, as great as Van Damme would have actually been as Johnny Cage in this, dear God, can you imagine him and Christopher Lambert having those competing, like, Eastern European accents?
Just can't understand anyone.
The only one.
And the thing is with Christopher Lambert's voice, I think the way he was speaking like really fit the character. Maybe not his accent, but I mean, it is a white guy with blue eyes and white hair, so like, you know, some European accent fits either way, you know.
Funnily enough, too, when I was doing a little bit of digging on this, I found out that he was kind of the big name for the movie, actually, that they were going to decide, oh, hey, it's Christopher Lambert, you know, he's like the most famous actor in this, you know, he'll get paid the most, and they literally, the only reason there's no fight sequences that involve Raiden was because of how much, they didn't have that much to actually pay Lambert to be part of it. So originally, he was only supposed to shoot for like 2 weeks, all of it in studio shots, in LA, and Lambert, who turns out is actually a big video game fan. It is funny to think about that. I think if they ever actually made a Highlander video game, he'd probably be like, one please, try to get in there. But yeah, apparently he was a big enough fan of the series that he's like, hey, you know, if you guys need me, I will pay my own way, fly to Thailand, and I forget where else they filmed, but yeah, actually flew on set for location shots, so that way he could actually be with the other actors and just kind of enjoy the filming, which is kind of cool to hear that. I mean, for when I hear about the guy, he's a nice dude. So
Yeah, I mean, that's awesome. Like when the actor is already a fan of the property, that's like, yeah, that's awesome. That's when you get someone who cares. So
it's like Jim Carrey with Sonic the Hedgehog, not to go too far into it, but you know that man spent many a day just doped up completely on Adderall playing Sonic the Hedgehog back in the mid-90s.
oh man, we'll have to talk about Sonic another day. I could talk about Sonic, I tell you what.
We'll get there. Kind of the biggest impacting legacy of this movie, though, the one thing we haven't quite touched on yet, is the soundtrack to this thing.
Oh, yeah.
Now, here's the real fun bit, and I've been saving this because I just wanted to see the look on your face for this. So originally, the producers of the movie said, we want to have an EDM soundtrack to it, just kind of like that fills in, you know, like this high, fast dance beat to it. You know, that's what we need for this movie. something that you can play at the club, pretty much. And they said that to the record executives. They're like, no, 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 no. The kids these days, that's not what they're listening to. That's just, like the kind of fringe groups and stuff like that is listening to that. What you need to do is you need to tap into the rock market. It needs to have more of a rock soundtrack to it. Someone like Van Halen or Janet Jackson. Now, keep in mind, I love me some Van Hagar as much as the next person. This was the in-between era, right when Gary Sharon was coming in, and no one likes the Gary Sharon era. So, yeah, they dodged one hell of a bullet on that.
I mean, the soundtrack. I mean, it's hard to, it's hard to kind of give it a pass in, almost 30 years later. But I think at the time it would have been a lot better than it is now.
Hey now, KMFDM's Juke Joint Jezebel was a single for this movie. You take that back, sir.
Yeah, I think it really fit the movie, and especially the time. But yeah, watching it now, it's you can't help but laugh at a few of the soundtrack choices.
God, as I was telling you, originally there were 3, especially written for the film, Stabbing Westward songs included. Stabbing Westward, 9 Inch Nails' little grunge brother, who couldn't. Yeah, they ended up going, yeah, these aren't gonna fit. Let's put it this way, the song of Goro versus Art, everybody's favorite Mortal Kombat character, Art, that entire fight is set to a song performed by George Clinton and Buckethead. and they told Stabbing Westward to take a hike.
Bill Clinton on sax.
Oh dear God, that's all. Oh my God, you just made me hard. You just made me hard. Oh shit. Yes, George Clinton, originally the funk and blues singer. Yes, did a song with Buckethead, famous for being Buckethead.
Buckethead's crazy, but yeah, man, the 90s were wild.
Dear God, I mean, it gave us both the Scat Man, I mean, as well as the Butthole Surfers. I mean, yes, I'm not even talking about the names being connected either. I'm just saying, yeah, opposite ends of the spectrum, some #1 hits. It's like, wait, what?
Oh yeah, so yeah, soundtrack was. I wouldn't listen to it in my free time, but they did find an excuse to play the Mortal Kombat theme like 3 times in that movie.
3 times, and now, well, I'm not nearly as hard on the rest of the actual soundtrack as Levy is here. I mean, come on, they got both Fear Factory and Giza in there. I mean, how can you complain about that?
It's just kind of funny because of the it just sounds so dated now, I guess.
Oh, definitely. But keep this in mind though. Originally, they wanted the 1990s Van Halen and Janet Jackson to be part of it. I wouldn't have been shocked if they. Well, no, it was a couple of years before Smash Mouth. I'm trying to think of some other people kind of around that era. Mr. Big probably would have made an appearance in there.
Mr. Big.
But the big thing is on that, though, is keep this in mind. We can joke as much as we want about that. No one remembers these other songs on there, except maybe Juke Joint Jezebel, because, KMFDM. But, yeah, no joke. This is a soundtrack album for a movie made in the 1990s. Everybody remembers the Mortal Kombat theme, which still bangs pretty damn hard.
It does. It do.
The Mortal Kombat soundtrack made double platinum in a year.
No way.
It sold 2 million. It sold 1 million copies in less than 6 months.
What the hell, dude?
In 11 months, it sold 2 million. A total of 2 million copies, which
that's nuts.
The last time I heard about a soundtrack doing that well was like Guardians of the Frickin' Galaxy. Jeez.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, so I guess the movie, what was even the plot? They convinced Liu Kang and gang to fight in Mortal Kombat to save some monk village? Was that what it was?
I've seen this movie multiple times, and outside of just repeating the word Mortal Kombat and fight sequences, I can't tell you this. I cannot tell you the plot.
Yeah, it kind of just seems like things are convoluted until they get to like the realm where they're doing Mortal Kombat and introducing all the characters, which I mean that's fine. It's a martial arts movie. I mean, you don't need deep plot.
There ain't a whole lot of, let's put it this way, there ain't a whole lot of plot to get in the way of that movie.
Yeah. Yeah, which I don't mind at all. I think they did great.
Oh, that reminds me. So originally, when they actually released this to focus groups and stuff like that for like screen testing and stuff like that, it came back with one note, pretty much. Pretty good, needs more fight sequences. So then they went and put the best goddamn fight sequence of the entire movie in Liu Kang versus Reptile. Which, when you see the CGI of Reptile in this, and it looks like Gex from the Gex games, his heroin addicted brother, you're like, how can that be a good fight scene? And that's when they got the great idea. What if we just have it be a ninja in a green gi?
Yeah.
And they then recorded the best fight sequence of the movie.
Yeah, I mean that fight scene was awesome, but the funny thing is during the movie the Reptile, I compared the animation to Beast Wars. And Elmer compared the animation to the Donkey Kong Country TV show.
Speaking of which, one of those is an episode coming up soon, and the other one is about to be a major motion picture. I'll let you guess which one. And I'll let you guess which one both of us, or one of us is excited for, and the other one is excited for.
Yeah, so maybe we'll let that episode be a surprise, but
It's a surprise it will be.
yeah, that's gonna be fun. Let's just say you would know this leader of the bunch well. But yeah, so they kind of like introduce like Goro pretty early on as like the guy to beat, like
Oh, Goro.
he's got 4 arms, he's really awkwardly puppeteered, and
So the concept of Goro in this movie is an admirable one. As someone who has met members of Amalgamated Dynamics a couple of times, as well as just knowing their pedigree. Amalgamated Dynamics, these are guys who started out and they worked with, the great Stan Winston, the guy who gave us The Terminator, Aliens, the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park. These are guys that worked with him, and they later went on and they did Tremors, and the later Alien sequels, and the later Predator movies and stuff like that. And, Coral is an impressive looking puppet. It's 8 or 9 feet. No, it's 9 feet tall. It has 4 arms, fully articulated head on it. It looks like a goddamn Ninja Turtles character. It took 13 to 16 people to... Hey, baby.
Yeah.
It took 13 to 16 people to animate this damn thing. And I think they probably would have gotten more of their budget's worth if they just would have hired Shaquille O'Neal to stand there with Rob Schneider and a baby Bjorn.
Yeah, I think it was funny. Elmer pointed out, like in some of the long shots when the camera, zooms out, you can tell it's just a guy with like a rig on his shoulders to wear Goro, with his arms.
Funnily enough, though, I did really notice this time the look of Goro in this looks a lot like a combination of Bolo Young, who is the main bad guy, Chun-Li, not that Chun-Li, the Chun-Li from Bloodsport, mixed with the main bad guy from Kickboxer, actually. And better, though, is when you go and watch the new Mortal Kombat from 2021, which me and the missus did recently. No joke, Goro in that looks just like Bolo Young. It's just like, did he get paid for that? I hope he got paid for that. I mean, that rat tail doesn't pay for itself.
You should get Jesse the Body Ventura in there to get another rat tail in on this game.
Oh, Mintaro for the sequel. Oh yeah, I'm a horse person.
Oh yeah,
Giddy up.
sure.
Give you a mustache ride.
Yeah, Yeah, so then they introduce Goro right away, and then it's pretty much just fight scenes until the end. They beat everyone. Katana tries to help them out, and then
Tries to help them out with like pleasantries and just by
it
saying,
was just
"Don't let what happened to my world happen to your world." And I look like a prototype Gal Gadot, but I can actually act. So
yeah, I think they just needed oh, we need to put another character from the game in the movie. We'll just put Katana in here and give her a handful of lines. Oh, good job. um, yeah, so then they end up what Sonya ends up getting held hostage or whatever, and they go after her and they win the fight. I don't know. It was kind of just fight after fight after fight until the end of the movie, but definitely a fun watch.
oh, definitely. No, I
Yeah.
no. Like I said, as much as I rag on this movie for not having a lot of plot or whatnot, at the same time, it's just all nostalgic fun. Just sort of that same sort of flat-looking 1990s cinematography, coupled with the clearly overproduced, just fake-looking backgrounds that you're like, no, that's styrofoam. That's styrofoam. That's plastic. That's styrofoam. Just the most inappropriate music possible, but at the same time, it fits perfectly. And overacting this side of a soap opera. It's like, how can this be any more perfect?
Yeah. For me, yeah, definitely nostalgic. Like I said, it's not objectively a good movie, but it's one I've watched many times and will probably watch again, within the next 6 months.
Now, just think, buddy. After he did this, Screen Gems, Sony Screen Gems, a major motion picture company, took one look at Paul W.S. Anderson and said, yes, this is the man who needs to be the front runner for the highest grossing video game franchise in cinematic history. Then again, how many of those damn movies did they make?
Mortal Kombat movies?
No,
Tomb Raiders?
the other one.
Uh, Resident Evil. That's what it was. I think they made 4 or 5.
It's gotta be more than that.
It probably is. I have a bunch of them downloaded, but
Oh boy.
I never liked the Resident. Spoiler alert! I never liked the Resident Evil movies.
Neither did I.
So
Speaking of which, we both had our minds blown this week when we found out, oh yeah, there's a new Resident Evil movie out on Friday, and we're just like, wait, what?
how did we of all people miss that? Really? But yeah, for me the movie was definitely a bop. I enjoy it every time I watch it. It's one of those movies that's a good bad movie. You watch it and you enjoy it and you laugh at it, but it laughs at itself sometimes. So
yeah. The entire character of Raiden in this is pointing out just the flaw and the stupidity in and of itself. It's the best part. It's Christopher Lambert. He's in the most melodramatic, awesome action movie of all time.
Yeah.
That's not The Rock. Highlander.
So why was it a bop for you?
2 words. Mortal Kombat! That soundtrack to this day is awesome. Or maybe not the soundtrack, that song.
The theme song, yeah, for sure.
Anytime I see what looks like about 2 people about ready to throw hands, get down and kick some ass, I will hear that just pop into the back of my mind somewhere. It doesn't matter what it is. You can put that over the top of any fight scene in any movie. The Matrix, Agent Smith versus Neo. You have that kick in. Yeah. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head quickly. The Terminator films, you have, T-1000 versus, the T-800. Mortal Kombat kicks in. Just flawless. But, no, on top of that, like I said, just kind of the nostalgia factor, just kind of that era of when they would make movies and just what they would put into it. It just, there's just a little edge, I wouldn't say an edge, a little bit of chintz to it that I just love.
Yeah.
When you're sitting on a boat and you can see the fog machine in the background is rolling over the edge, and you're lighting it with a blue light in the background, that makes it look like you're standing next to a freaking neon sign.
They use that blue lighting multiple times throughout this movie. It's awful.
It's nighttime now.
I'm not gonna give them cinematography tips, so
Yeah, no, I'm colorblind, so I can't really either. But at the same time, I'm like, that doesn't look natural.
Yeah.
Oh, may we forget the ADR in this film?
Oh my god. Yeah, there's definitely like it's not every scene, but there's definitely a lot of scenes where it's like
Your soul
is it
mine.
is the audio dubbed over right now? Yep. Definitely a few scenes like they're standing next to the ocean. You can hear them as clear as day. It doesn't quite line up with their mouth movements, and then you can't hear the ocean at all. It's just dead silent.
Bodhi from Point Break looks like he should be going on one last wave in the background, and you can't hear any crashing against the giant friggin' rock they're standing on.
Yeah.
Although at the same time, though, in the original game, though, how often would you hear, "Is that your best? Fatality. Finish him. Flawless victory."
Yeah.
And so, in a way, it does kind of fit the game in a way, but it just stands out so much.
Yeah. It was fun. But yeah, we're gonna wrap it up here. We don't have any subscriptions or patrons to list off this week. I'm guessing everyone is not here for the live show because of Thanksgiving. So if you want to send us questions to read off on the podcast, you can email us at thegamelinkpod@gmail.com. You can also support us on Patreon, where you'll get access to our Q&As and eventually our bonus episodes. That's over at patreon.com/gamelink. And for all you audio listeners, if you go to anchor.fm/game-link, I know that's kind of awkward, but there you can find everywhere else you can catch our podcast. Should be on pretty much anything, and if there's a service that we're not on that you'd like us to be on, let us know and we'll make that happen. But
Podbean. I know plenty of people that search along on that thing.
Oh, Podbean. I mean, there's a lot I've never heard of, but I think we're on like 10 different platforms right now. So we're going to end the podcast. If there's anyone sticking around in chat, we'll do a Q&A. Anyway, that's it for episode 3. Anything else you got, Elmer?
I'm good.
All right. Well, thanks for watching or listening. Have a good night, guys.
Stay safe, stay sexy.